Hello traders, the CPI data is out, the markets are moving, none other than Bitcoin flying there at the moment. I'll get the charts up for you in a second and let you know what I think of that CPI data release. Here is the Bitcoin chart to start off with. You can see that it's come down, golden pocket retracement, it's also 1.14 extension, and it's conformed to this downward sloping linear resistance. Bitcoin testing those lower lows, bullishly diverging at the moment, but this is not a confirmed low. US 20-year yield, what a reaction we've had there. Huge move, 2.3% today, even bigger on the 10-year, filling in with this channel. Just update that line for you. Tradespotting calling the moves ahead of the news. Then the 5-year, even bigger, 4% move. So if you watch today's guide on how to trade the CPI data, you'll have been well aware of the potential for these sort of moves in the stock market. Similarly, 2-year yield to the top side. And when the yields are going up, the price of these assets is going down. Look at that. All the way to trade spotting lines. Eh? Can he really beat it? And there's TLT, it's an ETF. That's the 20-year. As you can see, again, coming in, lower lows, continuation on that trend. This volatility index of those bonds, you're not getting much on the 1 hour these days, but daily time frame, as you can see, volatility still conforming to that pattern it's been in for a while. So big news. HYG back above that level of resistance, also interesting. Down to the 1 hour and back across to Bitcoin. Testing in at that low 67.5 golden pocket and SPX. Looking for SPX here. I'm sure I've at least got that on the list. VIX 7.385, also reaching up towards that $16.50 target we spoke about. And where is Biomil? There you are. Okay, 15 minutes. I see positive reaction there. Inflation data. Consumer hasn't changed anything particular. Down to the 1 minute. As the data come out, price action moving to the top side. Gap. No change there. I would advise caution at this stage. With markets on the edge of opening. SPY 519.32 at close yesterday. 512.29. What an absolute, across the board, everything taking a whack. There's that move to the top side that we were just looking at on the other chart, and then boom. Price is retracing significantly there, matching what we expect when we see big moves on VIX. So that is this working? Let me know in the chat box. If you can hear me, if you can see me, if those charts are those you'll be monitoring. If you'd rather I had something else up in the background, just let me know. Here's Bitcoin. 1 second. Time frame. Wonder if I can get that auto on. Great. And then a little bit of price action moving around as I detail for you my thoughts I put together on the CPI data release. So, Tradespotting's insights into the CPI data released today. Retail sales. Oof. There's things across the world we should look to, not simply this CPI data. Itself very revealing. The release of the March Consumer Price Index figures has drawn attention from across the world. It is a 0.4% increase was the result. That matched February's uptick of the same amount, but exceeded analyst expectations of a 0.3% rise. So a significant miss for the world, which suggests that the inflationary trajectory may not be as sustainable as initially anticipated, which would then leave the Federal Reserve in a complicated position with regards to its 3 rate hikes this year, which it anticipates. Key drivers of the CPI data include notable upticks in housing, shelter, and gasoline/energy, which collectively accounted for over half of that overall monthly rise on the index. Energy up by 1.1% during the month. Food prices saw a marginal increase, 0.1%. Inflation is dead in all other sectors. On a year-over-year basis, CPI escalated by 3.5%, which aligned with many analysts' expectations, but still accelerating from the prior month's 3.2%. So a mixed bag, not a particularly good one, a little bit like the curate's egg, right? Good in parts, i.e. shit all round. And then it's not just this data, it's the nature of that inflation. So it's in shelter, that data lags. So people don't move house all that often. And so the change there will seem quite high, but isn't the sort of part of inflation that's going to affect you day to day. It also puts a skew on the overall picture, as you can see. Then energy, again, influenced by geopolitical factors. For example, everything that's going on with the tragedy in the Middle East right now. Again, further implications from the Ukraine war. So there's a lot of volatility, and as such, a lot of people would be highlighting concerns in these trends about this nature of stubborn persistence there, because inflation in energy that's persistent can lead to secondary inflation in consumer markets. The Fed then in a complicated position because they can't do that much to influence energy prices. That would be out with their purview, but they can do a lot to influence housing prices, i.e. crash the market. Core CPI, excluding the volatile food and energy components, then still up 0.4% month over month, which exceeds expectations and maintains the same pace that we saw in February, right? I.e. it's crap, right? It's crap, right? I don't know if that's how they would write it in the articles or talk about it on the news, but it's pretty crap that it's not managing to get better data than this. So 12-month increase of 3.8% then, outpacing all analyst expectations, though we did talk about this being like literally these were the exact figures we expected to see this time, last CPI report when we were doing the same sort of video. Certain sectors like used cars and trucks, new vehicles, these sort of things, they've gone down. So how's that matched to the fact that your housing is going up, right? But cars are all getting cheaper, right? Obviously the data is not showing you the full picture. There will be reversions to mean that these dynamics correct. The implications of the CPI data is now causing these reverberations as we anticipated in this morning's video. Interest rates, we're going to pretend like the recalibration of interest rates might now be delayed, and Federal Reserve policy is going to definitely take account of the fact that the data is not moving as they want it to. This is their see as it comes, assess as it comes, and look at the data as it comes in, and then make a data-based approach. Is going to be telling them don't do anything, which the markets, they're not going to really like that because they've got only so many months left in the year to make these decisions about cuts, and they were looking for 3. So the probability of rates cuts then in June is significantly decreased. Along with there being potentially not 3, the one that you would then not see would be the most proximate one, right? So if you were planning for June, you were planning for September, and you were thinking December, then you're only going to have 2 of those 3, right? You're going to drop the June one, aren't you? So the sentiment is now negative on the markets. Pre-market reaction in the US was already a little bit dodgy. Apprehension, people anticipating significant declines across major indices, and bond markets were experiencing upward pressure on the yields, as we've been talking about for a number of weeks, but in particular recently, against a lot of people's expectations. You know, they thought the bond market was dead already. International economic indicators have painted a mixed picture. Now, this is something that you generally don't get unless you are a trader analysing the markets, especially if you're an international trader, you look at all different markets, then you're going to get a better picture of things. So retail sales in Italy, right? Industrial production in Slovakia, marginal changes, but these sectors are under intense pressure. Annual inflation freeze in the Czech Republic and Moldova, these are going down. And people, this part of the world are getting, their cost basis is going down. Notable shifts in Norway, where consumer inflation has slowed sharply compared to the rest of the world, and then things like just across the border there in Sweden, modest economic expansion, but inflation continuing. Broader European context, the STOXX index, Stock 600, looking at moderate gains recently, which is the strength of the tech sector, especially in Europe, pushing that up. Nevertheless, market sentiment is contingent on these figures improving soon, and it doesn't matter how good any one industry or sector is doing. The cost of money is getting so high, it's putting a lot of pressure on earnings. Earnings need to rise to match this passive income you can get from risk-free investments. Otherwise, it's going to have a negative impact on equities, which is going to take these indices down. So you see that mechanism working there as Bitcoin jumps around. Now, what's going to happen next, right? Looking forward, market dynamics are going to continue to be influenced by this inflation about narrative, what it is that's driving each part of the inflation component. Central banks, how are they going to respond to each other's actions, right? The secondary reaction, right? Who's winning the second ball? America's obviously taking the lead here. Jay Powell, when he was at Stanford there recently, was talking about potential rate adjustments. People still thought there was going to be 3 this year at that point. Reflecting on his nuanced approach now, we can see that there are real obvious economic uncertainties. It would be irresponsible for him to make certain decisions. They can be ruled out, maybe. The market will be doing that right now. Additionally, insights from other figures are worth noting. Now, Jamie Dimon, you might not like him. Many don't. He's good at his job, though. He underscores the significant current problems at this juncture. Domestic and international economic challenges for all Western-focused countries. In summary, then, we've looked at the March CPI figures. We think they're absolutely crap. We think the Fed is in a really tight spot. They've got very little they can do apart from undermine the value of your house. Monetary policy expectations and investment strategies globally are all interconnected. They're all facing negative sentiment because of this tightening of liquidity. Sure, there's options open for banks. Banks then can a little bit of impact on the system through this dynamic of new version of the bank term funding program, different aspects and uses at the Treasury's checking account. There's new and varied, many and mysterious ways that the Fed can ease the liquidity situation through the monetary mechanisms other and over and above simply the blunt tools of hitting the value of your house. But when it comes down to it, there's very little room for maneuver, and that's the one obvious route that the Fed can take. So watch out, stay tuned to Tradespotting. Be sure to be on the Discord. Make the most of it with these moves in crypto. There's a rocky outcrop flash that just took price from 6.7 to 6.77. Oh my god, that indicator, get it? Along with the rocky outcrop toolkit at Rocky Outcrop's Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/rockyoutcrop, where you'll also get access to the premium side of Discord. You'll get the content, the premium content I do, all also included over there. And I think that it's worth $1,000 a month easily. Boom, look at that. My contributions alone, never mind that indicator and everything that comes with it on Discord. Plus, I'd get oversight of your progress as a trader, and hopefully you develop into somebody that we can have on our team. Our team, which is going to be the best trading team in the world. And when we get recognition of that fact, it'll come at the same time as acknowledgement that we are undefeatable. I already know that to be the truth of those core group around me, and I'm looking for more people to join it. So would that be you? Could be. Right, what else are we looking at? Anybody got any requests? 7 days ago, last fax request. Thanks very much for that, sir. Delete yourself, sir. Yo, Wiki Wilkes. SPX took a dump, it certainly did. Everything across the board took a little bit of a dump. But your yields on your bonds, they're doing good. What else shall we look to today? Got lots of options there on the watch list. TSM, we did a video on them recently. First quarter revenue coming in at 18.5 billion. Analysts' consensus there's real terms revenue in at around $18 billion increase. That's in line with TSM's own expectations, but outstripping analysts. So it looks as though the earnings per share details will come in positive again as well. And it's hard to then speak to elements of TSM's balance sheet as experiencing a bubble, because they've got real underlying revenue supporting the growth metrics. So TSM looking for potential reactions. We talked about it recently on the show. 1 hour time frame, this is that uptrend meeting that important level of resistance now. It does come back down again. Here's those targets. If it does break to the top side, there's the important horizontal. If it does break to the top side, you're looking at this thing potentially targeting 190. Big moves, possible, but chip sector is what was pushing things up. Then this potential danger, not fantastically enthusiastic. So you've got a double top on Nvidia at the moment. You've obviously broken this horizontal level. There's a top side of a gap which it's reached now. It'd fill that in at around 819. Doesn't have to get down and close that area before such times as it tests that downward sloping diagonal, and you're looking for your 1, 2, 3 sequence. If you're in the book club and on the Discord, you'll have some idea of what that means. If you haven't, get yourself in there. If you're looking at a 2B and a further collapse, then boom, you'll see Nvidia at 790 and the overall SPY dropping even further. If we go into the 15-minute time frame, XP, XCOs, the market's gonna give us good. This is not the chart to look to right now. Instead, we'll look to index futures and E-minis. This is where the money's at. If you're a futures trader, and there's a core group of futures traders on Discord there, you'll see them on the paint side testing those prior lows. This is what it looks like when price action's breaking down. It's made it out of the bearish control zone, but price action's obviously just demonstrating extreme weakness. Now the momentum could take this all the way back up to the bullish control zone, at which point you'd be putting in either cat vomit all over your chart and or a lower high, more and more weakness, and then a period of consolidation potentially. And I'd look for breaks outside of these diagonals to provide you with opportunities for a divergence in momentum traits. So interesting moves, but nothing positive across the markets there. Breakdown is what looks like is really happening. Clearly you'll get reactions there based on RSI. Boom. So this is already a good show with lots of information. What did the chat box say? Let's go. 7 months. Bing bong. Nice to see GME buy from Larry Chang yesterday. Good to see you, Colin. Howdy doody. Good to see. Good to see. It does put a little bit, puncture that narrative about potentially, you know, there being no insider buys because there was a merger coming up and it would have been seen to be insider trading. So it puts the kibosh on that story for the moment. Onto to GameStop now. Just to briefly mention downward slope and resistance. It's managed to break through that, but this again, very weak, cat vomit everywhere. So that's what it looks like at the minute. I'd love to cover that more. It's just this channel gets undermined by a guy who used to, you know, he calls me his mentor because I taught him everything he knows. He doesn't know anything I didn't teach him. He talks about this stock a lot. And so, I mean, if you're getting anything value off that guy, it's come from me, and you'll never get anything from him that he adds to. It's all just stolen from me. Anyway, people like him and his toxic little audience of naive people who've no idea how he's abusing them. You know, that's like sucked away so much of what was the sustainable aspect to this channel. You know, so in his greed and disgustingly immoral behavior, it makes it really difficult for me to do GameStop stuff, you know, and this is part of the toxic community. You know, that and like the other people that are like popular GameStop influencers who attack me and my family on the internet, who frame everything with their political narrative and introduce fascist shit into the conversation. You know, the whole American political aspects that's included in the GameStop narrative is so off-putting to everyone else that's not in America. And, you know, it just dominates these channels and their attitudes, you know, and their third position bollocks. You know, I honestly can't stand it. It's so disgusting, and they attack me all the time. So you've seen it in the largest communities and all the influencers and the nonsense groups of fannies that call themselves the GME elitists and that. It's all the same people. It's all the same toxic losers with the same political far-right opinions that try to hijack your movement. You know, they're such losers. Anyway, they make it really difficult for me to cover this stock in any way sustainable. You know, they also make a mockery of everybody. It's a complete mockery of the GameStop movement, who they are, and that they've such a loud voice in it. This huge gap here on AMC, up at around, closes at around 424. The nature of this is so bearish at the minute, I'd probably say you'd look at the bottom side of that, and $4 would be the target, and we would take 398 just to be on the safe side. You'd be looking for it to break 323 to get there, and then you'd be very cautious of it slowing down at this golden pocket because of this area of resistance. And so there's this danger if it does turn around, having met clearly what is a target here. You see the big purple box, I'll explain that in a video on that, all that stuff, not so long ago. So it did. Ba-dump. BDX. This thing's really good for people who've been trading it on Discord. Strong, simple trend, making people money from good entries. Congratulations everybody for doing well there recently. Oatly, still within this range. This is funny. This reminds me of BMJ, Badman Pajamas. Recent multiple channel craziness. Anyway, it worked pretty good for what it was. It's not really the main factor of the analysis, but it does. Look at the way it works. You know, it's hard to argue against it. Anyway, price action at the minute in this thing, testing these long-term areas of potential interest for folks. The market's not open yet, so I'm not really getting as many bits of data on that chart as you would like. Extendio, where you've actually got it's up 2 cents. Right, not particularly dramatic on that candle. What's Tesla doing? Closed at 173, up at 176.88. Wiki Wilkes has a good handle on this thing if you're interested, especially if you're bullish Tesla at the minute. Obviously it's within this formation and whatnot, but he's well aware of that. Check out what he thinks on Discord, and he's already talked about it recently, so you can just go on Discord and search any ticker and you'll see loads of different chat about it. Organized chronologically, right? So you've got this 236 here. If it manages to hold that right back above 174 and whatnot, like you've got this downward slope and resistance at 193, target up at 203. There's huge percentage moves possible. The robo taxis announcement still driving sentiment. I think, when is it? August 8th. They're doing the announcement for it. I know they've talked about robo taxis hundreds of times, and I know that Apple felt like full self-driving was still so far off realistically under current regulations that they scrapped their entire car project. And I know that the most feasible one for robo-taxis was GM, and like they dropped their project a couple of months ago because it dragged some guy for 20 meters along the ground and like really hurt him. So, and they just decided like the critical issues there were too expensive to overcome at the moment, considering other challenges in the industry. So I'm interested to see what Tesla's ideas are. So I am. Uber, obviously, another company that Musk used to run, the big narrative on their going public was robo-taxis, and now they deliver cheeseburgers. So, you know, maybe there's a pivot on the cards, just like Tesla's potentially pivoting from only selling EVs, you know, that being the biggest part of their business model, to looking at extra things, you know, like the fact that they do batteries is one side of it. They also do all sorts of other things. Optimus Prime, a new robot. Did you wonder, like, what would Musk come up with if he came up with a name? Like, if Musk came up with a name for a company himself, right, or for a product himself, what would it be? You know, because Cybertruck, that sounds so much like that idea for it's just taken from the recent game that like had a car that looked very like it. And then Also, Optimus Prime's already a name, and Tesla, that was already, so would be interesting. What does everybody think in a chat box? What an interesting show it's been today. Jay Hunter, yo! Soldier. Boom! Colin, oh, I missed this. Welcome, Crazy Cat. Colin, thanks, Jay Hunter. Thanks, Crazy Cat. Afternoon, Jamie. Any chance we could take a look at AIR, Airbus? Took a bit of a dive last couple of days, but maybe a chance for some more continued growth. You betcha, Colin. Thanks so much. Yo. Yo, Jay Hunter. Yo, Colin. Yo, Crazy Cat. Yo. Yo. Thanks so much, everybody. Right. Airbus. I'm taking it, you'll want to look at it probably on NYSE, right? We'll just go with Euronext Paris. This is the original exchange, right? So we had these previous, I'd looked at this previously back here, so we can recycle this fib. That's good, that's good. I do this, right? I recycle Fibonacci to, like, if I've drawn a Fibonacci on the chart once, I will often use it again, right? Now, I know a lot of people are very sensitive right now. If you're American and you're super sensitive about politics right now because the election's coming up, the fact that I'm reusing that fib, please don't read into that too much, right? It doesn't mean that I'm an extreme left-wing Antifa activist, right? I just think that it's silly to just chuck that fib away and then get a whole new one out of the box. I think that's silly, right? So I just use what's already there. Really, I don't care about the political side of Fibonacci tools. Really, at all, I don't, right? So that's God's honest truth. So you're looking at this thing, using it from this low to this high. You've also got Rocky Outcrop hitting on the retracement back down again. It's gone through a 236 on this instance. It hasn't met this guy. If it was to do so, it'd be in around 158, where a 50% retracement from this most recent oscillation would take you at a similar place, 157 spot 5 to 158. Spot 6. That's the zone where price action likely comes back to if it does face continuation of this retracement in or around here. If that breaks, you've got a 50% retracement on this guy that matches up with the previous low from this most recent oscillation. And with the RSI so low already, you would suggest that this is potentially bullishly divergent on this oscillation. Tough while the last couple of days, as you say, Colin, below its own moving average on the RSI, pushing towards the bearish control zone, and that's quite a deep low retracement. Typically it would turn around here on the 4 hour, but this most recent move to the top side, as you can see here, it was, well, I mean, you would point out it's potentially bearishly divergent, but that's due to the nature of that rounding top on the RSI. In actual fact, it's not so bad, right? So a retracement below the 236, potentially offering you value now, $2 below that cutoff point at 165, potentially. But you can see that this retracement back to the prior oscillation high before this move up again, that would also be testing in at that 50% retracement on the retracement on the way down and the 236 on the way up. So definitely something to be aware of in and around that level, and I don't necessarily anticipate this being a brilliant move right now because, as you say, it's had a tough couple of times the last couple of days. It's not had any double times though, whatever that means. Anyway, so this retracement potentially could continue. So we'll look at that on lower time frames. 1 hour time frame, that's a good place to start. Ooh, dearie me, jeepers, dearie me. So this rock outcrop flash in a 1 hour time frame, if you do see this get negative now, which would be, why would that be happening? Airbus. Why would that be happening, Airbus? Earnings is in 3 weeks. Current market cap 130 billion. That's been doing well recently in the long term. So 1 hour suggests that you're going to see $30 off share price here. That's a significant chunk. That's a significant chunk. Right, so what would be driving that then? This most recent 4 hour, 1 hour time frame is not giving you that. I'm going to go back up to the weekly and have a look at this in context and say, oops, pardon me, bear with me while I get a better picture on this thing. Okay, so people like planes. Turns out people like planes. People like planes for a while. They like planes. They like big planes. Airbus make bigger planes than you might see, than your average plane. People like planes, and they like big planes. So this is the fundamental analysis. That's about as much of it I can be bothered with. So, well, look at their debt position briefly. If I can be bothered, do you want to give me it? So not giving me it there, I can't bother clicking anymore. Right, so that's that. Back to the monthly, I'll get a better picture. Yeah, people definitely love planes. This thing is in the bullish control zone on the monthly time frame, back above its own moving average. Everything looks fine there. Weekly time frame, again, everything looks fine. Strong uptrend, pullback in momentum here, not seen the same dramatic pullback in price. This move to the top side, it's not like it's gone parabolic. It makes perfect sense that price action would put, having broken through this resistance area here, putting in a couple of touches, retracing away from it, holding this important level of support with these prior highs in here, right? Is what it did at this instance here, and then subsequently breaking through that resistance like it was soji, like it was silk cloth, and that was a dagger of price right straight through it. Was obviously then going to that would be an important area of support if it comes back, just as this was an important area of support when price action came back on this instance. This would be the same concept, and that's really a simplified version of Dow theory. If you did go through this part here, then you'd be breaking this at the first horizontal that we marked out at the very first instance, in 236. You'd be potentially breaking this upward sloping support line, the diagonal support line here, and while it would be that, of course, your Fibonacci levels and your support and resistance on these little opens and closes, especially on the weekly time frame, would play a role, I think what you really be looking at is the 236 on the retracement back down at 146, and then in around these prior highs. So anything below that, you're touching in at around 135. Anything below that, prior low at 120. Anything below that, 1618 extension at $97. That's what probably happens to Airbus. It would be breaking through all these important areas. And when it does break through important areas, it just goes on another chunk. This is what Airbus does, because that sort of chart that we looked at on the weekly, monthly, big picture. You go through a diagonal, you'll come back and you'll test an important horizontal. In this instance, here, it was this prior high before it broke to the top side, right back here. So you're looking at that again, this prior high being important level of support, critical areas in it around 130. If that breaks, you'll have the same picture as what broke down. You'll come back down, you'll test 77 or 96. That'll be the same thing that this does, at which point it'll have a huge reaction, because companies like this are critical to the future of the countries in which they're based. You want our airplane manufacturing. France love that stuff. America, they love that stuff, right? They don't want the Saudi investment fund to snap up their aviation R&D. They don't want that right now, so critical state intervention to, so I think there's a lot of opportunity in these sort of companies, especially when they go through big, large retracements down here. So a last couple of days though, you say, go back to Colin's question, say, can you get a trade set up on this thing? I would say that it's very, very risky. Volatility would increase significantly if it drops down. It has most recently filled a gap. Current price is what? 163.24. Yeah, if it breaks 161.70, it's going to come in and test 160. And if it breaks that, the idea that would be like you'd be looking for a short down to 130, or you'd be looking for this to get down to 130, because why would you want to actually trade it for like a huge counter trend move? Potentially you'd be looking at that, but only on a breakdown. So you'd want to see it exceed 160 and potentially exceeding 130 to be looking at that 158 or whatever it is, to be targeting that move to 134. So you'd want to wait for confirmation to take a trade like that, because it'd be against the trend, and it would risk reward on it might work out. Sure, it might look good, but the probability of it working in your favor much lower, right? Counter trend move. So potentially the best trade on this thing is looking for that retracement, and you did seem to have a positive, like a long, is the sentiment of your question, I think. So you're looking at those retracements to 159, 160 potentially, or waiting and looking for a long at 134, or both with a tight stop, and any of those other areas I mentioned. Typically you'd be worried about this thing exceeding those lows, because there's so very obviously going to be liquidity here, and there'll be a huge stop orders at 154 and change. So you would look at that. Also, it's breaking a diagonal though, so I would think like if it did break that level, perhaps hangs around for a while, opportunity cost of that trade would be crap likely. and rather than getting an amazing reaction that got your stop in profit and made it so that whatever happened you were safe. I don't think that would necessarily happen at that level if it broke through 155. Certainly don't think that. So, you know, tight stops, tighter the better. The more patient you can be, the better. Hey, patience. Patience, like we were talking about earlier, important. Karma is the beginning of knowledge. See, patience. It's very important. The strong are the patient ones. Patience means holding back your inclinations to save. To the 7 emotions of hate, adoration, joy, anxiety, anger, grief, and fear. Tough ask that. If you don't give way to the 7, you're patient. And then you'll soon understand all manner of things and be in harmony with eternity. So being in harmony with eternity. Clearly you'd have to be patient for that. The components of which you can find on the 15-minute time frame. Oh my god, so why is it that Tradespotting's got this green vertical line going through price action? That's part of a time-based horizontal, time-based Fibonacci tool that I use. You can see I've got a video on that. It's one of my first ever videos. I think it's my first ever video on YouTube. Still the one that gets the most views. How to Fibonacci. Check it out. This is a 1.14 extension. Look at this thing. That diagonal is brilliant. Also, there's lookout cup flash. That's brilliant. Also, it's back at a quite obvious level. You know, when that matches up with an 886 off his full toolkit, you get a buy signal. It's like you get so many awesome things with this thing that you don't even need to know how to trade, though it does make it so that you will then at that point never be in trouble, and if the worst comes to the worst, you'll be safe. So karma, next patience, then strength and harmony. What a brilliant show. That was your tips, Colin. Thanks. Hopefully that helps. If you've got anything else you'd like to ask about it, just let me know. It's a good thing fibs go from left to right, covering the entire political spectrum. Yo, Jay Hunter, you're welcome. Thank you. James Fibs didn't lie. True story. Also, they're politically agnostic, as Theo pointed out. Hi, hello. Shout out to the Spirals. Hello, Spirals. My Mac battery's dying. Okay, folks, my battery's dying. Which would mean I could just move to a different room, didn't it? You could just do that, Sputter. But I think with markets opening now, prices having moved, and Bitcoin at those areas of support, really what you're looking for is just a quick catch up on your trades. Tell me all about it. Rocky's got a show tonight. You want to see that, by the way. It's going to be fantastic. I can even, because we're here and we've got this opportunity with each other right now, I can even do this quickly. Where are you guys at? I think I've got the chat box open here. Rocky can also post in my links in my chat box. So can moderators. So you can always put in. You can always put in your. Where is it? Where is my? This is my live streaming. This is my live streaming thing here. And can I talk in that chat box? I have to. Can I? Yes. Chat as a subscriber. There we are. I'm chatting as a subscriber. I'm just like you guys. We're all the same. We're all the same here. How do I get this stupid thing to stop doing that so I can pin it? Isn't it great being here? Yes. So this moves this up. And then I can pin it. Yes. Sweet. Then, I don't know, you guys can't even see what I'm doing right now, I don't think. And then, this is the best part of this. Just another Crypto Wednesday, folks. Just another Crypto Wednesday. We've got 101 people have viewed the stream. Can I just drop that on? And now, you guys can see it now, right? Cool. Look at that. That's what it is. That's pretty good stuff, folks. Here you can see what yous have been up to. We have 34 people watching right now. If you hit the like button, that's really appreciated. Thanks so much. We've got 4 messages per minute. I think that's what that means. Yo, Chris, 34 months. So these are the figures to beat, right? If we've got a competitive spirit. I have when I see these, but I can't influence them directly this way. But you can. 4 messages per minute, 102 views. That's not terrible. And then average people watch for 11 minutes, 12 seconds. So on average, people were definitely getting value if they're watching for more than 10 minutes. That's the way I look at that. That's positive too. It's also maybe, anywho, things will get better. There's a flash up at 71699. When's it going to make that move? That's a huge percentage move. When's it going to make it? Well, you're going to have to watch Crypto Wednesdays with Rocky to find out. That's a 6.11% move. Like, you don't have to take that much margin to be turning that into like a huge percentage move. Rocky Outcrop can make your trading so much safer, even if you're doing risky things, which you shouldn't do. That wasn't financial advice. Don't do that sort of thing. Why trade on margin? Don't be silly. Just take spot. That's a huge percentage move. Be happy. You get that all the time? Wow, imagine how rich you'd be making 6% over and over and over. Right. It's been great. I want to thank the people who support the show. Everybody who's a member here, especially on those higher tiers, thank you so much. When there's less and less people, that sort of decision, that really helps. So if you've ever upgraded or on those higher tiers, I appreciate that so much. Thanks. And then people who support me on Patreon, you guys, so good. I hope I give you great value back in return. I know I do. I hope you get better and better at trading so that you are like absolutely minted, and then that'll be the best endorsement of me, your guys' success. So that's why I'm completely and utterly invested in, and you'll find me investing in yous all day, every day on the Discord. So check me out. You can join on the free side. You'll get better at trading. You'll then be able to afford it easily peasily, and then eventually be part of the team. Hopefully, there's a course. Take that course, you'll learn how to trade. I want to see us books. I want to see spicks. I want to see it as booksies. I have it here. Is it moving yet? It did. There, it's moved. It's open and it's moved. I was looking for it earlier. Like, where is it? What's going on? And it was a little bit confused. Anywho, so we've got that 15 minutes. Huge gap. Spicks. Do you want to look at SPX? Because, you're trading SPX. You might be trading SPX if you're trading like options on SPX. You might be looking at index futures, looking at E-minis. These are futures on the same thing. Go down to do 1 minute. You might be looking at this sort of thing. That's a reaction since that drop. I should probably drawn these more accurately. I'm probably toothbutting. But it's not managed to break that 236, though it is interesting it's there. Maybe looking for like smaller, lower entry fees. Smaller contract size. Then you got the minis. Also hitting that level of resistance. That's pretty obvious. If it breaks that, it's obviously going to come up here at 5214. That's horizontal level, right? It's 236. It's horizontal level. There's very little in between, right? There's also an obvious departure point and an obvious destination. It's really obvious, but it's so obvious that that's weak, and that this is in no means a strong reaction yet. But like, look at that drip. That was so huge. Was that really necessary? Was that so necessary? Well, it was exactly what was necessary if you're talking about necessities. Look at the volume on it too. It was obviously real. And it's a lower low after a lower high. But then look at that flash on the early, and then you've gone through this guy. So this is a Rocky Outcrop flash. Hesitant to say all the best ways and strategies of using this indicator here on the free side. Get the indicator down. Discord will tell you all about the new tips that you can use. Cheat code. Anyway, I can't reveal too much in the free show, so I know that there's this stalker freak loser watching. Right, so I know he's watching. Right, so shout out to all the good people watching. Thank God you guys are watching. Thanks so much. Keep watching. What else were we saying? I've got the redirect on. There's Chris, 34 months. Wow. That's the SPX banana freeze. What do you think? Oof, bear flag. Don't want to see that. Cat vomit. Exactly! Sir. You have it. You have it, sir. You have it. The eyes have it. There's potential bear flag and it's awful. Look at that. Cat vomit. It's awful. This resistance level. It's obvious. So, eek. That's the minis, it's like free money. And then you've got this, like that support level is not real, right? This resistance level, that's real. This support level, that's not real, right? It looks good. It's not real though. I'm sure there might be a bear flag at 3 touches. At which point then you would say, that looks like it's kind of real. But right now, it's not real. And there's no guarantee that a 3rd touch of that would hold at all in this condition. No, not in this condition. So thank you very much for watching. What else did we miss? Nothing. We didn't miss nothing because we are dead good at this thing. We are dead. Bing bong. Nice to see JME buy from Atlantic. Yes, that was the thing. Larry Chang bought some Jimmy, good shout. Larry, I do that sort of thing from time to time. Yo, Larry, good shout, man. How's those spatulas going, Larry? You're selling some spatulas, I noticed. I saw you were giving some away, some kitchen utensil vouchers on a YouTube show, and I was thinking, you know, Larry, if you were on my show offering my viewers vouchers for kitchen utensils, you'd get spanked out of here with your spatulas, so you would, Larry. So I'm glad to see you're back to the good old JME buying business. That's what you're known for. Cost of living is buns. Is like those buns, hot cross buns. Hot cross buns. It's like that nursery rhyme. That's why I'm so good at trading. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Another day! What, 2 shows today? 2 shows already today. 2 amazing shows today. Oh, shitty hell. Sugar, my internet is lagging. Ugh, that's disgusting. You must have that crappy Scottish internet. I got myself some of the good old English internet. They sell the good stuff down there. I got some of it. Oh, it's great. It's kind of like the American stuff, but it's got way more calories and like quite a hoity-toity accent. But if you can put up with that, the speed's better. Thank you very much for watching today's show. I think it was incredible, but then I would think that, wouldn't I? No, I definitely have a bias though. But I don't know, definitely was a good show. It was a brilliant show. Really, really good show. Hit the like button. Watch Rocky's show tonight. I'm going to send you there in a minute so you'll get a redirect. There's also a link in the chat box that's pinned at the top. Please go and watch that show and hit the like button, right? It's not until later, so you can hit the like button now and you can hit the notification bell so that you get a notification when the show is live. And then watch it and say hello to Rocky, you know. Do that for me, right? It's worth, if you're watching this show and you think, oh, if I had a tenner to chuck him and say thanks, whatever, I would do it, right? You know, if you were to do that for me, it'd be worth more than that tenner, right? Watch Rocky's show, hit that like button, that'd be worth way more to me. So if you've got any way like, oh, I'd like to help Jamie out in a way, but I don't have any money, that would be a great way, right? That'd be a great way. Thanks very much. I'm going to show earlier. Whenever it suits you, Sir Rocky.